Hi everyone, my name is Steven. Again, this is my last video on the series for the Petty Cash app, and it's going to be my last on Uniscale. Time to begin dealing with projects that are relatable to you, my audience, and content that is going to be quite fun to work together with. So this is going to be the last of the series. It's basically the home run, about 30 minutes. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you. So we are continuing with the Petty Cash app from where we stopped. So we are going to begin focusing on the first page of the transaction, and we're going to begin setting up a form, but I'm going to go by the approach of setting up the methods I need, and then I'll do the rest later. So the form input for this is going to be the stuff straight from the SDK. So the new transaction input, you can see it's coming from the SDK, and what that entails, you can see it's auto suggesting. So amount, you see created at, so that's a date type. So the next last thing is type, that will be the credit or debit. So for now I'm just going to put debit. Then the last would be the item of the transaction, the subject of the transaction. So that will be the first item. The next thing we're going to do here that we shall need to do is to define a message. Basically that will be let me see, if we are successful and we submit the transaction successfully, maybe this message will be the one to say oh successful and stuff, but the type of message may be important. So let me create a type here. I'm going to call it message type, and I'm going to define success and error in case we're not successful with submitting a transaction. So I'm going to define also an interface here, and this one will have more information. So I'm going to call it message info, and I'm going to pass in the message as a string, and I'm going to pass in the type, and this is going to be message type. It's suggesting, so message type, and I think we can add in an object for details, and this will be type result. The result comes from the SDK. This will just be helpful for, as you can see, it's coming from the SDK. This will be helpful for debugging in case we need to. So I don't think I will I need this message. I'm turning this into a message type info, and this is no longer a string, so I'll just have to remove those braces and replace them with message and type. Okay. Yeah, so next thing we're going to do is okay, I'm going to put a boolean. This boolean is essentially going to handle if I present the message or not, so that it is not always in your face. You'll see when that comes into handy. I think I can jump straight into the actual submission, and this I think will also require us to bring in our dispatcher from the SDK. So what I'm going to do is I might have to get the dispatcher, but right now I can just sanitize the value of the created at because it will be a string, so I'll have to turn that into a date object. So I'm going to pass in the data that would have come in from the form here. I understand this does not make sense now approaching it like this, but this will make my work easier when I'm building the UI. But as you can see, this is created at the type of date, so I just wanted to show you that as well. So anyhow, let me see the dispatcher. It's right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring it in, and since we exported it, you can just get in the dispatcher alone, and then I can use the dispatcher directly in the submit. So how would you do that? It's rather easy. That is wrong. The autocomplete is doing something wrong for me, but it's rather you say that, then you pass in the request, then you pass in the body, so you pass in the feature that you defined. So it's new transaction with, then you pass in the body of the request of the form, and then that should handle that. So since it's a promise, we handle the result set from here, the response essentially. The res is for if it was successful, but within our SDK there is a measure for success or not. So the result can be successful, but when it's essentially for it did not go through, but it went through the dispatcher, okay, but for some reason there was an error that we caught. So I'm going to handle that here in the success. So that's why there is res.success, and in the res.success we shall write our message for success. Let's go for this autocomplete. Transaction has been captured. Then in case it was not success, I would have to do something similar. Yeah, that sounds okay. Then from what else is left? I think this looks about correct. I have to handle in case everything failed from the dispatcher. I would have to do a cache at that point. But let me check something. Yeah, I think we're good. Of course, this is using the VS Code. So, but I think we're good. Of course, there's that thing that is failing, but it's not really failing. It will auto adjust later. So for now, I think I'm going to proceed with now creating the form, and time to begin working on that. So I'm going to first handle the message, so I'm going to put it here. If is message, so it only show up when it is successful, when the message has been triggered to true. And then I pass in the message. If the message type is success, I'll put in some stylings, possibly make the text green or something like that. So let me do that now. To put that 700, and if it is the alternative, we go for red. So let's keep it at 700 just to make sure that we're all together on that. So then I will pass in the message at this point. So just say message.message. There we go. That seems about correct. Then I think we can now get ready to begin designing our form. This video may take about maybe quite longer than the previous one because styling takes a while, but you're going to have to bear with me and we get over the line on this. But I'm going to try and keep it short. Maybe at most we shall do about 30 something minutes, but yeah, at the most. So anyhow, let's begin with this form. So what I did there, I made a minimum height of 40 so that I can see something. I'll get rid of that later, but for now I need that. Then I did flex score means that the amount, the word amount and the input, what I'm going to do it's going to be below it. So what I'm going to do is the label for amount, and then I put in, it's going to be a number, and it's going to be tied to the form input at up.amount. exactly right that. Then I'm going to first do some styling for this class as well. What we're going to add a border on this input, add the padding. Let me see. I think that's okay. Let's do the rest. So I'm going to quicken this by replicating it downwards like that. If you're using PHP Storm, that's just a command D for those ones who want to learn a few things here and there. So let me just fill in the rest. Date. This is going to be type date. HTML has come a long way. Back then we didn't have that type input. You had to get the date picker every time, but there's a default one now you can use. So I'm going to use that. Date, I think here we can put the let me see, where I put the item on yes, the item, which would be the description, and that would be item. Item type would be text in this situation. I think we still have like a drop down we can do for the type of transaction. So let's do that. So I'm going to turn this into a select. So I'm going to remove all this, turn that into a select, remove that of the view model is important, and just make that type. And then what I can do, remove the enclosure and create my own closure for select, then go down and create options. There we go. Let's do debit first and then credit. There we go. So there'll be a submit button at this point to submit the form. So I think let's create a dedicated div for that, and then this one's going to be a row flex, so things are aligned horizontally. And then I'm going to come here and create my button. Let me add a opening brace, and then click submit. You might have to add a few things here on this button outside this styling. Let me call it BG, make the background blue, text should be white, add some paddings, make that rounded on the side. Is that okay? Can we go check it out now and see what that looks like? Yeah, it has come out not so bad. Okay, just a few things to clean out, and let's see if I add the value. We're testing this out. Credit money, make type debit, submit, transaction has been captured. Oh, so that has worked perfectly. So yeah, we are halfway there. Okay, so that submits straight to the submit method we did. So when you hit submit, that works perfectly. So let's come and do something for statement. So for statement, we do a summary of the transactions. We add a start and end. It takes in a date range, and then let me just review that for everyone at Uniscale here. I think that will give you a proper refresher. It's been a while since we did this. It's been a couple of videos. So let's see. Let me open the petty cache here. So get transactions, you see right here it takes in a date range, and that date range, and then it returns an array of all the transactions within that date range. So the input you can see is date range here, and let me open that. You see start date and end date as strings. So that is the idea. So, and then the new transaction we just did is this one, which pretty much just adds a new transaction to this list. And then at least is what we filter by date range to show up in this statement component, as I'm going to show you in a second. So let me begin by see. I'm going to define transactions as an array here of transaction for. There we go. Which is this going to be this transaction? It's going to be this transaction here. It's the same thing. So that's the transaction we're going to be pulling. So it's the same type. And as I said, these steps are in Uniscale directly. So all that work is done for us. You don't have to define the type again. It was done at Uniscale and SDK carries it over. The start date is just going to be a string. So end as well, going to be a string. And then as I mentioned, I like doing my stuff, the things I will need for the actual display before, as far as logic is concerned. So I'm doing that first. What next? The dispatcher, bring in the dispatcher at this point, and begin defining things which are the submit is for the date range. So this one will, so I won't use the dispatcher for this. So let me just, I would have to first sanitize the dates first. So the start value, let me pattern that into a date, passing the start value in here. ISO string, let me first remove that. Start value and do the same. What next? Okay, I'm seeing something here that's complaining. Oh, it's supposed to be a string, so let me just turn that into a string. Do I go string, date string, ISO string? Let me check something and I verify this. Okay, in here I turn it into a date, so it was a string. So let me see these two. Let me first abandon them for now. Let me first use the dispatcher directly. First, in my request, it should be get transactions dot with here. Passing the request body, open the braces here, and I manually create my object of the date range. So let me come and do this again. Date range, passing date range, open the braces for that. Start date is going to be start value, and I'm having a brain freeze, but end date should be end dot value, because these are strings by default. So let's use that. Passing the date range here in the request body. So at this point, I just come in and get the result and assign it to the transaction. So transactions, that seems about correct, but this data is wrong. This value, that is the, why is that complaining again? Why is that complaining? Let's first catch here and continue. We shall come back to that if we see there is some water in some value in what it's complaining about. For now, let me see. Undefined. Okay, okay. We can sort that out with the simple if, so that we make sure that it's never undefined. Make sure it's never undefined. Yep, that should sort the issue out. So that solves the issue. That looks about correct. What am I missing? Oh, we have to handle the transaction summary. So let's begin. We shall need to do a total debit. We want to make this a computed property. And let me see what's the completion here. It seems as if it's doing the right thing. Let me just use that and turn this to cumulative val debit turn that into T. Just clean this up. Just let's make sure that the type is debit. If it is debit, we proceed to adding the amounts up. Let me see, why is it complaining? Why is it complaining? Anyway, let me first do the others first. Let's first handle total credit as well. We shall come back to clean that up later. Turn this into credit, and that should credit. That should be it. Then I believe I need to do balance. The remaining balance. And this should be pretty much so okay, total credit, total debit. That looks correct. Let's see the errors here. Oh, I don't see anything wrong. I'll figure that out as I go, because I don't see anything wrong. Oh, okay. Let's return just the by default. That's not the issue. In case there is nothing, we just take the initial cumulative. But that doesn't sort out the issue. We need to, that just sorts out the remaining balance area. Anyway, I think we should just jump straight into the styling, just to move on with time. Let's just begin with that. Let's make this flex row so that I can create a space for adding that range at the same column as the heading. So what I'm going to do on this side, I'm just going to begin adding in my other flex at this point. Flex row, and then I do gap 2, gap 1, gap 1, gap 1 will work. Center them to match the labels I'll be giving them. So let's do that. Start comes first, and I put the input, type date, and then I come, what else? I have to view model this. I might borrow some stylings from the other side. this one, I'm just going to capitalize and make it small. And then here, the view model for this is going to be the start, which you already defined up there. And then I'm going to pretty much borrow what we did the other side here. So I'm just going to put a border and a padding of 1, and add some margin to the right. Text is still going to be small. I think I can just then replicate this downwards, technically on the side, and do the same and add end here. I'll need to see what this looks like. Yep. Yes, we need to add a button for that. Yep. Let's see. Hover. Do we need all these shenanigans? No. Let's remove that. Padding 2. Text white, text small, and then fetch statement. That is better. Let's see how that looks like. Where was this? Oh, this finally came through, but I already explained that before, so let me just go back here. Up, our thing is looking nice. That padding may be off, but this is what we're dealing with, the date range. That's what I was trying to show you before. From, you see, end start, and you can see we're expecting an array of transactions. So this is what we're trying to deal with. So you can see the output is it's a request response, and yeah, it's supposed to return an array of transactions. So let's go back to now designing first of all the space for the summary. Let's first handle that. And sorry again for any background noise that might be coming through. Just want to get this done. So what next? Let's add a border here. I'm going to group all these summary things. I'm just going to give them half the page. I want them to go downwards, touch a border, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to begin defining the first item here, and it's going to be I think I'm going to flex row for this, justify between, and then in here I do span. Okay, they're selling summary. Let's keep it at bold. This is going to become total debit. Then this becomes the amount, so I'm going to remove the bold from that, just make it italic, and then remove all this, double brace here, and total debit, and then put like UGX. I'm assuming that's the currency. So I'm going to replicate this across for the remaining two. Bam bam. This becomes total credit, and then remaining balance. Type that in, remaining balance. Add that in there as well. So I think that's okay. Is that okay? I think that looks okay. What is missing? Let me see. Indented correctly. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, this suffices. So let's go and begin designing our table of statements. So let's do that next. So let me do this in the next like 5 minutes or so. So let's try and do this quick. I think I'm already on 30-minute mark, so I'm going to try and rush this. So what we're going to do here, we're going to come define a border. I'm going to make this a border dashed style, and then give it a color, the border color, and then make that rounded, grid, giving them colors. How many columns? Let's use, I come from a bootstrap background, so I like using 12, so that I already know the visual imprint of what 12 looks like and how to divide that on the page. So let me do that. And then yeah, small text, give it padding of 3. Yep, that looks correct. So let's just get busy. I'm going to put this, so the fit statement. So I'll only show this if the length is the transactions in. If there's no need to show this. So T stands for transaction in transactions. Then the key is going to be the T dot transaction identifier, and then going to come in here and begin setting up the first column. Let me start the brace there. Done. That's going to be 2. This first finish everything in here I need. So let me see. Let me first do that across. So the first one is I'm going to add some styles in here. This is flex call, give gap of 2. Need to go downwards, so that's okay. But put in my span here. The first one will be the date of the transaction. Make that font bold. And the second one will be the actual date. So this one will just be italic. Keep it consistent with everything up. Then it's going to be a new date. Pass in the date of the transaction. Created that. And I can turn this into a string. There's an error there. I'll come back to that. Let me see. So the second one, I'm going to make this a, let me see something. Copy this, replicate it here. Do this similar thing. Okay, let's just remove this and copy this, so that is go up there, replicate, then just change the naming. That's much faster than typing it all out. So first thing, this is going to be debit, so I'm going to remove all this and just pass in the type directly. Then same, this one I'm just going to sort out that, so that anytime that I sort out that error, so it's never undefined. And then what else? Yeah, type. So what else is here? Let's handle the other columns. Give this 4. Copy this. Throw it down here. And this is going to become the actual object. Let's call it description. The object of the transaction, which is item. So do that. What else is left? Let me see. I item, copy this down here as well, and then the last one should be the amount. Pass in the amount, attach maybe a UGX at the end. I think this looks okay, so let's put in, we shall have to put in it transaction, but let me see whether we still have the other one in memory. Yeah, we still do. So you can see the transactions are there and everyone should be happy. So we're going to put in some more transactions here to test. Let's put in maybe 10K here, and then say this was on first. So this is salary, it's a credit, submit. Say maybe say 200 was, let's make that it on the 7. Let's say this is some rent paid. That's debit, submit. Let's go and check the statement, see whether that computes from 1st to 30th. Bam, and these are all our transactions. So as you can see, it's looking, you can bootstrap all this pretty quickly. So thank you. Hi everyone, hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, subscribe, like, all that, comment, ask questions in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them. Yeah, have a good one.